Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, blessed, good morning. Yay. I am so excited to be here. Yesterday was fantastic. Unfortunately, when I sent out the Zoom link was a whole different time than what I had intended. I put down 8 to 10 and it just had the 10 in there. And so Stephanie and I started at 8 and we went almost until 11. But I was so grateful to see so many folks that were willing to show up and be a part of yesterday's Martin Luther King coffee clutch, morning glory, all of that good stuff. It was good for me. I feel like sometimes I feel like one of those people that'll say, I hope you got yours because I got mine. It was good for me. And so, I plan to do that again. I need to talk to Stephanie and see what works for her. But, it's definitely something I would love to do again. And to just to have that energy around a particular topic or idea is just so good to me. So today, Stephanie sent me this email or a text message early this morning. I guess, everybody knows now that I get up in the 5 a.m. hour. So she sent me a message at 5 something, I guess, 5:30 or something, saying that she gets to go with her mom to Cleveland Clinic. And so she would log in if she could. But I used to go to the doctor with my mom all the time. So it's like one of those things where of course I'm in the thing like, oh, wow, what an honor and what a joy. And anytime you have lost a parent, I don't know if you're like me, but there is always this longing, like, oh, like you get to go with your mom. And so, if she pops in, great, and if she doesn't, great. All is well. I will say that even if she doesn't drop in, I'll still try to get a little bit into the It Didn't Start With You, which is the book that we are working on now by Mark Wolin. And just, this stuff is so wonderful and amazing to me, because what it does is it helps us to, this is not just, oh, excuse me, I forgot to bring my water in here. This is not just one of those things like when we did Anatomy of the Spirit was just kind of like one of those things that it was applicable to whoever, to our bodies. You go through the chakras and it talks about in a general sense. This, however, uses our own life as a roadmap. So you get to do the work for yourself, like whether it is looking into your family history, paying attention to the things, the fears that are within you. You get to, put yourself into this particular teaching, into this, these ideas, and then see what comes up for you. So if you have not gotten your personal fears down, like what is it, the words that you think about when you think about what you're afraid of, your deepest fear. And I know a lot of times people always say, I don't have any fears, or, I'm not, because fear sometimes implies weakness. But we have these these things in us. It's sometimes you can label them a desire, or when you think about the slippery slope that you might fall down into, what's at the bottom of the slippery slope? Is it just a body of water, or is it nothingness, or is it irrelevance, or is it dying alone, or what's your deepest fear? And so when Mark excavated this, he was very clear about what his words were. But he wasn't, when he first came up with them, clear about why they were there. And so, as we kind of dive deeper into this work, we'll figure out that there is something within us that is expressing on that level, that is saying that that is to be avoided. That is what we do not desire, or, to be alone, or whatever that may be. When I watched that movie Don't Look Up. Now, this past weekend, through the snow and through other things that we've done, I watched some television. I got caught up on a couple of shows, or sometimes you watch these mini series and it seems like go on for months and months, even though all of them are there, like all 8 or 10 episodes are there. I am one of those people, I never binge watch anything. As a matter of fact, I have a tendency to pump the brakes, especially if I'm enjoying something a lot. I pump the brakes on it and step away from it, because I somehow, some people learn in different ways. And for me, this idea of stepping away from something and reflecting back on it, I think I shared with you guys before that when I have a tendency to step away from something, or if I look away from somebody, I am better able to see them in my mind's eye, as opposed to a one-on-one connection. And so even when I watch television, I watch, and then instead of me just thinking that I've received everything that there is to receive in the process of watching, I would step away from it and then I reflect back on it. It's how I do a lot of things. And that doesn't necessarily make for a person that is quick-witted. I think we talked about that yesterday, of this idea of just being able to snap right back. It doesn't make always for a quick-witted person, but what it does do is it allows me to see into things deeper than I might if I just watched it without thinking that there was anything else to it for me. And so it's my way. I show up in the instance, I talk in the instance, but the reflection is where I get a deeper understanding. And so I think that, that works out. I don't know how you process information, but it's certainly how I process information, and it seems to work for me. And so, paying attention to the ways in which you process, or what comes up for you, and when it comes up. Does it come up in the midst of while I am talking, or while other people are talking? Or is it something that kind of comes on like a rain, or like a snowstorm, that only comes in, these moments afterwards? It's like this dawning of something. How does it impact or reflect? How does it land on you? And then when you pay attention to how it lands on you, you'll better be able to see what it is that you need to do on any given day, or in any given situation, to be most effective. I love to say, which is, I think, something that I got from Brene Brown, is, can we circle back on this? Like, can I can I sit with this, and then we circle back on it at another time so that I can, and I recognize too that I have a tendency to forget stuff. And so what I try to do too is to make notes and write things down. And then as I circle back, be a bit more reflective, because, sometimes our defenses come up in the midst of things. I don't know, that defenses come up, and we all have egos. Sometimes our ego takes over as opposed to our own truth. So whatever that looks like for you, whatever that is for you, just, if you just figure out how it is, what it is that you're supposed to bring to a situation, I think that is good. Let me tell y'all this too. This morning, y'all know I don't know that I think like the average person, right? And I don't know. And all I know is I love the me who I am, right? But I don't think I think like the average person. And so when I am in one of those moments of reflection, especially when I'm disagreeing with something, I need to bring my truth to the forefront. And I know that my truth is not always accepted, and that's good too. But I need to bring it to the forefront so that I can share it with the people that I'm sharing with in any given moment. So what I'm going to do here is, we are on this section, which is still the introduction. I take forever with I take forever with everything. Erica, bless her heart, calls me sidetrack, saying it's all good. But what I know is that this is what is good for me, and it works for me. And I'm only supposed to be me. That's all I can be, is me. So it's all good. So what I'm going to do is kind of continue to work my way through this. And when Stephanie comes back, I know sometimes she likes to circle back on things, which is exactly what I was just saying. She likes to circle back on things. And so if we need to circle back on something, that works too. But it is really interesting to me. So she says, he goes on to say, from yesterday, we talked about this, how he traveled halfway around the world looking for or trying to get his sight back. And I wonder, for me, what is it that could happen to you that you are willing to pull out all the stops for, right? If you were to get sick or ill, would you think that your healing is right where you are, right? Would you just put it into the hands of the doctor? Or would you be aggressive about trying to figure out, like, I don't know about you, but for me, I have this belief that when things go wrong in my body, they point to something. So even pain is not just pain in and of itself, but it's calling your attention to a particular area. That particular area may correspond to a different way of thinking. I see a laugh there, but okay. It may correspond to some kind of feeling that you have in your body, right? Or it may have a corresponding thought or idea that needs to be addressed. So if you are having back issues, it could be that it is related to finances or worries about finance. They say that that's what lower back issues are significant of. Sometimes this idea of having an inflamed or a prostrate that is not working is pointing the finger at your feeling of potency in your life. Where are you? It's not just about that area, but in your thinking, where are you feeling impotent at? And so, if everything has a corresponding thought, right? When I had my breast abscess, it said that I was not giving of my milk. And when you think about that direct correlation, I had to then look in within me. Good morning, Mary. Hey. Oh my gosh. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I had to look within me to see what corresponding thinking I had that went with the illness that I was experiencing. And so when I started to think about it saying that I was not giving of my milk, I had to think, what does that mean? I was like, milk, what milk? And then when you find out your milk is your gifting, whether it's your talking or your sharing or whatever it is, when you figure out what that is for you, then you're working on the healing of the illness that you're experiencing. Things don't just it's everything corresponds. So like when I talked about this idea of even of weight, oh my gosh, I have been reading some stuff about weight. And one of the things that I have read, I have learned is that we put on weight as a way of protecting ourselves. It is a guard up against other people, things of the world. And so we put on weight as a way of protecting. And as long as you feel as if you need that barrier there, you will not lose the weight. And so when you've got to think about what is it that I'm trying to protect? Because otherwise, if you don't start at it from the let me see what I'm trying to protect, and then dealing with that, the weight will always be there because you need to feel that extra barrier in between you and other people. So all of this stuff, when we go through this and talk about, whether the family traumas, family stuff, as we talk about this, we can even look at it and say, where did I get this from? Right? And so I know that there are certain things that is in my lineage, right? Because I so some of y'all will know part of what I did at the beginning of this year was I was already on ancestry.com, but I paid for a membership because all of a sudden, through the work that I've been studying on epigenetics, I talk often about how my mother did not know her father. So while I know my mother's side of the family, I don't know my mother's father's side of the family. And so, as you know, everybody, we all have different sides of our family. So there's my mother's side and her parents, right? And the things that happened in her lineage. There's my mother's father's side and the things that happened in his lineage. And while I am familiar with my father's mother's side of the family, my father's father's side of the family, there is a history. And if all of this history is impacting me now, not just in saying, oh, I need to know about, this ease or who had this or who had that. It's not just that, it is more. It is the traumas that have happened to them that continue to seek outlet or continue to seek healing around those issues. And until I do that work, that will still inform who I am. So I got stuff. We all have stuff that we don't even know the origin of. And so when we start looking a little deeper at the origin, just like Mark did in this book, when we start looking deeper at the origin of the hurts and the pains, we see that, all of us, we've got some healing to do. So when he said that his mother, when she gave birth to him, he said that they had to use forceps. Now, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine not only how traumatic that is for a baby that's been inside, floating in his mother's womb for these 9 months, all of a sudden to feel something come in and grab its head and then begin to pull it down this birth canal. It's one thing, you know, kind of pushing and squeezing, things come out naturally. But he was pulled out of, from this place of warmth, he was pulled out of this thing. And so his mother, so when he came out, okay, now he's birthed, now he's in the world. Um, and then his mother said that because his face or his head was all bruised up, she couldn't even hold her own child. Now, we people have a tendency to believe that children, before they can talk, don't register these things. So not only was it something that registered with him, not only did he feel that, children are aware in the womb when stuff is happening, right? So can you imagine how often people are, even though they, call this was an accident, they're looking at their stomach and saying, oh, this was an accident, it was a mistake, or whatever have you. That that whole thing, that trauma still lives inside of, it still lives inside of us, right? And if it was you, if it was just something that somebody doesn't, those things are begging to be healed. They are begging for our attention. And until we really look at those and discover those things, he said that when he found out that his mother, after, I think he was a few months old when his mother had to go back into the hospital for something else. I forget what it was that she had to go back into the hospital. But that separation, that feeling like, where did my mama go? She abandoned me. That separation still resonated with him. And so he was never able to really embrace his mother again, because he felt like she let him down, and let him down on so many occasions, that it created this barrier between him and this mother that remained there until he was doing his work, the work in his, what does it say, his 40s or 50s. He started doing the work of healing those pains then. So he goes and he travels around the world trying to get all these gurus and teachers to tell him the problem. They tell him to go back home and deal with his own family issues. And so when he comes back, now all of a sudden, this is the healing process that we're in. And so he said that somewhere along the way, he even stopped thinking about his eyes and worrying about whether or not they would improve or worsen. Because remember, he started out on this journey because he had gone blind, or lost his sight. So no longer expected to be able to see clearly. But somehow he said that stopped being as important as doing this work. So he said not long after his vision returned, he hadn't expected it to, he hadn't even needed it to. He said, I had to learn to be okay no matter what was going on in my life. And sometimes we don't, we make it sound like the stuff, right? The stuff that is going on in our lives is, we raise it to the level of our golden calves, right? We raise it to that level and we make it seem as though it's so, like, this is so important, and we're not going to be okay. People worry, they worry about stuff that really is so insignificant, right? In the scheme of things, we let little stuff take our health. Oh my God. It's almost as if we relinquish it because we rather get caught up in the worry about things than the actual, like, okay, if, say for instance, if you never have enough money to pay your bills, or if you never get married, or if you, I don't know what it is that worries you or keeps you up at night, right? But if that never changed, wonder if it never changed, could you be okay at some point with it? Or would you just let that just kind of keep worrying you? And I have a friend who Oh gosh, that's too specific. Let me see if I can back off and talk about somebody else's worry. Um, I have friends that worry about very interesting stuff. I got a friend of mine. Okay, I'm gonna tell you about him. And this is funny too. This is to me is hilarious. But early on in his life, apparently his uncle told him that, how we talked about, I've talked about for the last couple of days that women, I've said it for the last couple of days, that when we are born with all these eggs, right? We are born with all our eggs. Men, boys, man, child, man, children, they only, they don't even get their sperm until they're a certain age. I mean, that thing doesn't even kick in until later. But then it's not like women, because we are born with all our eggs, but then we go through menopause, and so then that kind of like that that's over. But for men, they always have this ability to produce sperm from the whatever age that is, whether it's 10, 11, 12, I don't know. From that on, they do have the ability to do sperm. So anyway, this one guy that I know, his uncle apparently told him that you only have a limited amount of times where you can dissipate, like you can have orgasms. And so his uncle told him to pace himself. And so I don't care what you do, this guy is only gonna have, he can't have no more than one a day because he wants them to last a lifetime, as opposed to getting all that he can before a certain age. Like if he is if he only lives till 60, he wants to make sure that he's got it, enough to last him till 60. So it's only one a day. I mean, can you imagine? But that's his truth. That's his truth. And as a matter of fact, it's a traumatic truth for him. It lives in him. He has lived by it for so long that it's like nothing you can do if you're trying to go for round two. But it's his truth. It's the way that he is. And for all of us, we all have something that just kind of lives in our being, in our souls, and we take it as the gospel truth, live by it, and and that's how we operate our lives. But wonder if we took on this notion. I tell you, my dad was so funny. My dad said, when my dad got prostate cancer, he got prostate cancer later on, really late. And he was going through and doing all of this stuff, the stuff that you do, of course, when you get something like a diagnosis like that. And so somebody said that to him, this thing of like, well, if you do this radical surgery, then you will not be able to have sex again. And he said, well, it ain't actually my problem. That would be whoever he's with problem, but it wouldn't be a problem for him. He was just trying to stay alive. And so a lot of times when you think about what can't you deal with, or what couldn't you deal with, a lot of people don't know how to do that wrestling that I've been talking about, so that they work through the issue within their own being. So whatever your issue is that you're doing, what is it that you need to work through so that you get this level of peace of mind? So he goes through and he says, this is really interesting. So he goes through and he says, today his vision is 2020, believe it or not, right? And so he says that that all of the scarring that had happened to his retina, all of these things that have happened to him, those things just it healed themselves. He says he shouldn't be able to see based on the damage that was done to his retina, but he can. So he says he shakes his head and postulates that somehow the light signals must be ricocheting and bypassing the central area on his retina that is supposed to give him sight. He says, as many stories of healing and transformation go, he says, what started out looking like an adversity was actually grace in disguise. I love that, right? What looks like adversity is actually grace in disguise. And so, ironically, he says, after scouring the distant corners of the planet for answers, he says, I found that the greatest resource of healing were already inside of me, just waiting to be excavated. And that is probably the truth with all of us. We go around searching for our healing when our healing is really right there inside of us all along. What does it take? What is it that needs to be unpacked? What is it that is like, if you remember the story of Pandora's box? I don't know if you remember that story, but Pandora's box, and the way that the story goes is Pandora was, I don't know, I forget how exactly the story goes, but she goes and she opens up this box. And as she opens up this box, she lets out all of these atrocities and terrible things out into the world. So if you could think about negativity, bad thoughts, all of this stuff going out into the world, she opened up this trunk and she let out all of this pestilence, all of this evil out into the world. And the last thing it says to come out of the box was hope. And so sometimes what we do is, that same type of scenario seems to be in effect in our own lives. The last thing that we get to, we see all of this other stuff that we're judging, right? Whether it's on programs that we watch, whether it's the news that we're watching, whether it's our own health history, our reports, whatever it is, we see all of this negative stuff that is there, but we forget that the last thing that is there is this idea of hope. And hope is what gets us to exploring different opportunities for our own healing. Hope is what has us looking into our family history, wondering what it is that is calling or begging for attention to be healed in our life. Hope is this, not just hope in something out there, but hope that grace is within you. It is not someplace else. It's not something that is, that's only given to a select few, but it is to the person who dares to pursue it as if it's meant for you. And so I love the stories of how people talk about the things that have happened in their life. If they just press through it, if you just keep going, that you find that all the things that happened in your life were there, and they weren't something that was meant for your detriment, but rather for your good. And all you have to do is persevere through that. And when you do persevere through it, you find the blessing on the other side. I tell you, that works. That works for me. And once it's happened to you a few times, then you kind of just think like, oh, I could relax in this, because what I know is that, I get unmerited favor. And so too do you. But not if you quit, not if you give up, not if you come short of following through. It's only when you persevere through all this stuff that you really get your blessings. So that was what he said. He says, ultimately, healing is an inside job. And that's what all of these books, that all of the stuff that I keep sharing with you is all about this same idea that healing is an inside job. Y'all, I know, look, I'm a minister. I believe in God, right? I just like the rest of y'all. However, what I don't believe is that it's just supposed to happen like abracadabra, bam. No, it takes participation on your part. All of us participate in this. We live, move, and have our being in God. God blesses us through our own actions and through the actions of other people. You have to participate. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna go to the doctor and see what the doctor says. No, it takes something on your part too. It takes, oh. So healing is an inside job. And I mean, I could talk about that because yesterday, I think, was it yesterday? Yesterday's show was so good, but it was a long one. It was intentionally long, but it was really good. I'm trying to think of if it was yesterday or or Saturday, or whichever day it was. I don't know which day it was. They all run together. They all run together for me sometimes. But one of the things that I know is that when you are embarking on something, a healing journey, whatever it is, um, your own participation or the way that you approach it, it you get what you expect, right? If you are constantly thinking that it's somebody else that needs to heal you, is, yeah, whatever, you'll find out. So he says, and I got that book here on my shelf. You Can Heal Your Life. You Can Heal Your Life. That's the one with the rainbow on it right there. We just did Anatomy of the Spirit, but You Can Heal Your Life, it breaks down all of the illnesses that you could have in your body, right? Well, just about everyone. And it's one of those books that when you're having knee issues, when you have pains in your knee, that you look it up and it starts to talk about inflexibility, where you're not flexible. And sometimes people, what we do is we think, oh, that's not me, I'm flexible. But we don't stay with stuff until we figure it out. It's like, what part of me is inflexible, right? It's asking the questions and then doing the work behind the questions that we ask. So if you think, and it says to you, you're being inflexible, some people might say, I'm very flexible. But in a particular area, it may be that you are not. It could be whether it's on your job or in your family, or where it relates to your children or something else. That inflexibility may show up, but you've actually got to do the work. It's the soul searching, right? There is some wonderful books out here by uh, Joe Dispenza. There are wonderful books by so many different people that really talk to you about how to change your brain so that your body begins to heal itself. You can actually reverse your process of aging through changing your own brain, your own mind. And so all of this stuff is just working for your good when you actually are interested, when you actually are ready to do the work. So he says, ultimately, healing is an inside job. Thankfully, my teachers led me back to my parents and home and to myself. He says, along the way, I uncovered the stories in my family history that ultimately brought me peace. And out of gratitude and newfound sense of freedom, it has become my mission to help others discover the freedom for themselves. And so this is why he wrote this book. And this is why he says it didn't start with you. It's why all of us, I don't know about you, but it's why I come in here and talk to you, because I have a vested interest in you seeing that this is not just about something else blessing you, but rather about you going out and getting your own blessing. I tell you, I don't know. I know for some people that is just totally like a foreign concept or a foreign idea. But I always say, you know what? Prove it wrong. Prove it wrong by trying it. That's how we do it. Because what you know is what you've always done. They always say that that definition of sanity is doing insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting different results, right? And expecting different results. So if you have tried your way and you keep trying your way and it has not worked, why not try a different way? Why not try something else? Why not tap into another possibility? I mean, what do you have to lose? And here's the thing. Here's the thing. The God that you believe is judging your action, trust me, it's the same God that has me, right? But the one that you believe is judging your actions is that already told you not to judge is not judging you, right? So it's not judging you. We're always getting caught up in thinking that somehow, there's going to be lightning that comes down out of the sky and strikes us down where we are. How often has that happened? And look, I done some good stuff to deserve it. I have done some stuff that, and then called it forth, like saying, hey, here I am. I'm standing in the midst of what I'm doing and saying, you know what, if you got a problem with this right here where I stand, get me. And it has not happened. As a matter of fact, through my challenge and through me going through this is why I talk about what I do. I mean, this is why I'm trying this stuff. And in Joseph Campbell's book, not in the book, but in the video, The Power of Myth. And I don't know if you watch that, but The Power of Myth is a fabulous miniseries that was between Joseph Campbell and Bill Moyer. It was done on PBS, I do believe. And it was this expose between or about the stories that inform our lives and inform who we are. And one of the things that it said in there was this, in Finian's wake, I do believe it was, he kept seeing this scripture that was referred to. It wasn't like it was an overt thing, but it was kind of hidden in the text. And he said he kept seeing it over and over again, and he went and found the scripture. And the scripture was saying that if you're going to sin big, so that you really get that it's not just this idea of, God is just saying, oh, I'll forgive this little one. No, he's saying that whatever it is, you just can't, there is nothing that you can do that would make God withdraw itself from you, right? Now, sure enough, I tell people all the time, sometimes what we do is we give up on ourselves. That's the thing. We give up on ourselves. We refuse to change. We refuse to do anything different. We refuse to try. We sit back and we act as if life is this, like, all this is about is us sitting up and taking up space, making money, watching TV, doing all these other little things that don't add an iota to who we are. We get caught up in so many different things. And as we get caught up in those things, we don't realize that there is something more, a sole purpose that we came here with. And until we start to do that, we're just taking up space. And so the question is, are you going to figure out what it is that you are to do, what you're supposed to be doing? And when you start to get a clue that, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else, because that was what I was talking about the other day, is that we got a sole purpose that we came here for. What is it that my soul is supposed to do? What is it that I'm supposed to, glean from this lifetime? Is there something? And I guarantee you there is. So whether it is learning about your self-worth, if it's learning about forgiveness, if it's about working through some of the issues that your parents had, whatever it is, you got work to do. And it's not just, oh, let me see how I can impress other people, or, oh, let me see how much money I can get. That's a very weak vibration. But I will tell you that is what capitalism has taught us is the point. we've learned, and people talk about that as the point, but I mean, I'm sure that you can look around you and see how, I mean, really, would that be all it's about? I mean, think about that. If Is this all this is about? The Matrix. Let me talk about that for just 1 second, because it just popped into mind. But the Matrix was such a powerful movie in demonstrating to us that our life is more than serving as one of these, right? I mean, are you a copper top? I mean, are you just here to feed this system, to continue with, you know, sustaining and supporting something that actually doesn't even see you as a person, as an individual? Are you one of these? And so when you think about it from that standpoint of view, for me, I think to myself, like, if I'm taking it upon myself to believe that God is not a deceiver, right? There has got to be something for me to do. Now, you might think, you know what, I'm just supposed to. But when you look at the Bible, when you pick up your Bible, if that is what you believe in, right? When you pick that up, that Bible is filled with people who did something. Where are the people who was watching TV? Oh, you were saying, oh, TVs didn't exist back then, right? Well, where are the people in there that was just sitting around whittling a stick? That is filled with people who did something with their life, who made an impact on the planet. And so when we look at their life and their trajectory, it was because they did something. We are to do something. We are not just supposed to exist. We are not supposed to just take up space. There is something for us to do. And if nothing else, to demonstrate the, love, growth, faith. I mean, there is so much for us to demonstrate in our lives. Forgiveness, transformation, how to get a renewing of our mind, how to let the weak say that they are strong, how to develop our own strength and our own understanding. There is so much for us to do. Show and prove. Don't just take up space. Figure out what it is that you're to do, and then do that. Do that. I mean, that just, to me, is just such a beautiful thing when we can start to do more than what we are destined to do. So I will say that all of this stuff that is here, whatever that means, right? All of this stuff is here for a reason. When you happen on this tape, whether it's in 2022 or 2032, when you happen on this recording, you can ask yourself what it is that I'm supposed to do. As a matter of fact, since there are no accidents in this universe, if you're watching this, then that means that there is something that is trying to wake up in you, something that you are to do. This acts as like fertilizer for you, and in acting like fertilizer for you, something is trying to take root and grow. Something is trying to express through you, and the question is, what is that? And so when you start asking yourself the questions about what matters, you stop being one of these, right? And start to become something so much more. Oh man, I really want to take this call. I'm gonna tell her I'm gonna call her right back, right? Because I really want to talk to my dear. But yes, so for each and every one of us, the goal is to figure out what it is for us to do and then do that. Oh my gosh. So I thank you for being here, whoever drifted through, whenever you drift through, all of that good stuff. I thank you for being here. I thank you for your time, your attention. We will be having another one of those coffee clutches real soon. Real soon. I'll keep you posted on when that is in case you want to come. And I wish you blessings and I wish you a fabulous day. Stephanie apparently didn't make it today, but that's all good. That's all good because, I can talk. So have an amazing, blessed day. And I will see you again tomorrow. I'm here from 7:30-ish to 8:30-ish every day. Well, Monday through Saturday. And then on Sundays, I'm here at 1 p.m. So blessings to you. And if you've got the book, we are still only on page 10. If not, we will talk to you, or we'll bring you into that. I can always send you. It takes us a week to get off of a couple of pages, so if you want to me to email you, you can leave that information either by sending me a message on Messenger, or you can always put it in the comment section. All right, I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow, God willing, and the creek don't rise. All right, see ya. Bye. And